Pushy People, episode number 1. My entitled sister-in-law wants custody of my baby. Background: I'm 36 years old, and my sister-in-law is 40. I was married to her brother for over 10 years, and during all that time, I always felt a certain amount of jealousy and resentment coming from her. It seemed like she believed I was living the life she had always wanted, not because of her brother specifically, but because I had a happy marriage, a loving family, a stable job, and everything that came with it. I have 3 children, a 10-year-old daughter, an 8-year-old son, and a 3-month-old baby girl. Last year, my sister-in-law got married. She and her husband decided it was finally time to try for a baby. Unfortunately, the doctors told her she wouldn't be able to conceive naturally. She was absolutely devastated. The entire family tried their best to comfort her and support her through it. Recently, we all got together for a family dinner. Everything seemed completely normal, until right in the middle of the meal, she suddenly looked at me and said, "You know, I think it's incredibly unfair that you have 3 children while I can't even have one. Your baby is my last chance to experience raising a child, so I think you should let me keep her during the week so I can develop a maternal bond with her, and then you can take her back on the weekends." For a moment, I genuinely thought she was joking. Before I could even respond, everyone at the table started talking at once. The entire room erupted into chaos. I immediately took my 2 older children upstairs because I didn't want them witnessing what was happening. When I came back downstairs, her husband was demanding to know what on earth was wrong with her and why she would ever ask something like that. She kept trying to justify herself. I didn't argue. I simply told them to leave. Then I looked directly at her and said that she was no longer welcome in my home and that I didn't want her anywhere near my children until she got professional help. The moment I said that, she completely lost control. She started screaming that I didn't deserve my life or my children and that I had somehow stolen her baby. Her husband, and even her own mother, were both crying and apologizing as they struggled to drag her out of the house. After they finally left, my 2 older children kept asking me the same heartbreaking question: "Why does Auntie want to take our baby sister away?" I honestly didn't know how to answer. Update. A lot of people have asked what happened afterward. First of all, we already have a security system and surveillance cameras around our home. No one besides my husband and me has keys to the house. Unfortunately, under our country's laws, one incident like this isn't enough for me to obtain a restraining order. That same evening, my husband and I sat down with our 2 older children and explained, in an age-appropriate way, what had happened. We'll continue talking with them over the next few days, so they understand that, for now, their aunt is no longer a safe person to be around. I'll also be informing both their school and the daycare about the situation, and I'll be giving them her photograph so everyone knows not to let her near the children. Some people have also asked why I don't simply buy a firearm. Private firearm ownership isn't legal where I live, and honestly, even if it were, I wouldn't want one. Finally, I completely understand why some people find this story difficult to believe. If someone had told me this exact story just a week earlier, I probably wouldn't have believed it either. But unfortunately, this is the reality my family is living right now. My entitled ex actually thought I should keep paying the bills for her and the guy she cheated on me with. I found out that my girlfriend of 11 years had been cheating on me, and out of everyone she could have chosen, she picked an unemployed loser. Honestly, I couldn't believe it. I'm not rich, but I gave her a comfortable life. I paid most of the bills. I provided us with a nice home, and I made sure she never had to worry about much. She got her hair done. She got her nails done. Every weekend, I took her out on dates, and a couple of times every year, we went on vacation together. She had become completely accustomed to that lifestyle. Somehow, she expected to keep living exactly the same way. Even after cheating on me with a guy who couldn't even support himself, she never admitted the affair. I caught them myself. The moment I made it clear that our relationship was over, she immediately started making demands. Her first demand, she insisted that I should be the one to move out. According to her, my family lived nearby, while she didn't have anyone in the area, so apparently, that made it my responsibility to leave my own home. But that wasn't even the craziest part. She expected me to continue paying every household bill, so she and her new boyfriend would have time to get back on their feet. Then she demanded my dogs. She actually said they should stay with her, and if I wanted to see them, I would need permission from her new boyfriend. Since neither of them had any money, she also expected me to keep paying for the dogs' food and all of their veterinary bills. Needless to say, I threw her out of my house, and my dog stayed with me. She was absolutely furious. Even after moving out, she still believed she was entitled to my money. A little later, she claimed she'd been forced to quit her job because moving had disrupted her life. Then, she actually tried to sue me for her so-called lost wages. Unsurprisingly, she didn't receive a single penny. Most people would assume that was the end of the story. It wasn't. Next, she contacted the company I worked for. She threatened to sue them, claiming that the actions of one of their employees had destroyed her life. She demanded they settle out of court for $100,000. She had never earned anywhere close to that amount. Instead, my employer decided to sue her for filing baseless and malicious claims. Surely that would stop her, right? Wrong. She started contacting every member of my family she could find. She told them I'd treated her unfairly. According to her, she had only left me for someone else. As if that somehow made everything acceptable. She insisted that the least my family could do was send her money to help pay her rent and her living expenses. When none of them gave her anything, she went online. She started asking complete strangers to donate money so she could afford a place to live. She even claimed that she was a survivor of domestic abuse. That was completely false. To this day, I genuinely don't understand how she convinced herself that I should continue financially supporting her after she chose to cheat on me. We were never married. We didn't have children. Yes, I had supported her for years, but I never owed her a lifetime of financial support, and I certainly wasn't going to help her and the man she cheated on me with build their new life together. Apparently, that came as a complete shock to her. Our neighbors have been throwing pool parties in our backyard whenever we're out of town. A few years ago, my husband and I bought a house with a swimming pool. We know most of our neighbors, but we're not particularly close with any of them. They all seem like nice people, but we don't really have anything in common besides living in the same neighborhood. The family next door on our right has 6 members, college-age twin daughters, a teenage son, a younger daughter who's in 1st or 2nd grade, and the parents. We normally open our pool at the beginning of May and keep it open until the end of October. This year, however, the weather didn't cooperate. May was unusually cold and rainy, and then June suddenly jumped to 37 degrees Celsius, or 99 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm currently taking medication that makes it difficult for me to spend much time in the sun or heat. On top of that, my husband and I have been busy helping 2 relatives who have been dealing with serious health issues. As a result, we still haven't opened the pool this year. Normally, we spend a week at our family's lake house during each of the 3 major holiday weekends. But this year we skipped Memorial Day because the lake area flooded. And for the 4th of July, we decided to stay home to help a relative who had just been discharged from the hospital. Throughout June, the little girl next door asked my husband or me several times when we were going to open the pool whenever she saw us outside. At first, we simply told her, maybe later. Yesterday, she asked again, and I finally told her that we probably weren't going to open it at all this year. She burst into tears. For context, none of our neighbors have ever come over to swim in our pool, so I couldn't understand why she would be so upset that it was staying closed. Later, I spoke with the neighbor on our left, and that's when I found out what had really been happening. Apparently, every 4th of July, the family next door hosts a small family gathering in our backyard, by our pool. While we're away, they've always cleaned up thoroughly afterward. And since our pool is professionally maintained and our yard is serviced weekly, things occasionally get moved around anyway. We never thought much of it. Our neighbor on the left genuinely believed we'd given them permission to use the pool. In reality, we'd only ever told them they were welcome to retrieve balls or toys that landed in our yard. We had never given them permission to use our pool, especially while we weren't home. We have a special latch on our side gate, and my husband once showed our neighbor how to open it so he could retrieve his children's toys. Now, my husband, who absolutely loves gadgets, is planning to install several additional security cameras around the property to monitor both the gate and the pool area. He's also planning to replace the gate latch with a smart lock that will allow us to grant temporary remote access to our pool service and our landscapers. Fortunately, one of our friends installs security cameras and home automation systems, so he'll be helping us. I'm furious that our neighbors have been using our pool without permission. My husband, meanwhile, is mostly excited that I finally agreed to let him install more gadgets around the house. So what should we do? Should we confront the neighbors and tell them we know what they've been doing? Or should we simply wait and see whether they say anything once they notice the new security cameras? Update. First, I want to make one thing clear. We have no interest in hurting anyone or starting a feud with our neighbors. We simply don't want people using our pool without permission, and we certainly don't want the legal liability that comes with it. I should also clarify a few things. Our backyard is completely fenced in and has 2 gates. The rear gate locks from the inside with a double lock system. The side gate, located next to our garage and bordering the neighbor's property, has a dual latch mechanism. To open it, you have to reach over the top of the gate and operate both latches at the same time. It also has a self-closing mechanism that automatically latches and locks the gate again. I can't even open it from the outside myself because I can't reach both latches at once. The previous homeowner installed this system, and it's worked perfectly for our landscapers and our pool maintenance crew. We already have several security cameras, a doorbell camera, and one mounted above the garage. The garage camera records anyone approaching the front gate, but we deliberately avoided pointing cameras toward our neighbor's garage door or their backyard gate because we didn't want to invade their privacy. We even showed them footage from that camera so they wouldn't worry that we were recording their children or tracking when they came and went. As it turns out, We cared far more about their privacy than they cared about ours. The 4th of July. On the morning of Thursday, July 4th, I was loading some things into my car to take to my cousin, who had just been released from the hospital. The husband next door, who has been commuting to work lately, saw me and walked over. He asked, "Aren't you leaving for the lake? Isn't it a little late?" I told him we were staying home this year because we were helping my cousin recover after her hospital stay. He then asked whether we'd be home all weekend. I said yes, either my husband, me, or both of us would be home the entire holiday weekend. He quickly wished me a happy 4th and went back home. When I went inside to grab my purse, I told my husband about the conversation. By the time I got back, our friend Mike had arrived. Mike is the one who installs security cameras and home automation systems, and as I've mentioned, my husband absolutely loves gadgets. The three of us came up with a plan for installing several new cameras and smart devices. I agreed to every new camera except one, and to nearly all of the smart home upgrades. Mike also suggested that we speak with our homeowner's insurance agent, because improving our security system might qualify us for insurance discounts. So, on Friday, July 5th, our insurance agent, Tom, came over. Mike also brought a drone to help determine the best camera locations, though honestly, I think he mostly wanted an excuse to show off his new toy. My husband, Mike, and Tom spent the day walking around the property, occasionally going inside. Meanwhile, I noticed several neighbors wandering over to see what was happening. Eventually, someone asked. My husband simply explained that we were concerned someone might have been using our swimming pool without our permission while we were away. That's when two different neighbors admitted they had seen friends of the twins come over last year. They watched as the twins and their friends climbed into our backyard. One neighbor had even questioned the girls about it at the time. The twins had confidently replied that we had given them permission to use our pool whenever they wanted. At that point, my husband and Tom were discussing the insurance implications. Tom advised us that we should send our neighbors a certified letter officially revoking any permission they might believe they had to access our backyard. Not long after Mike and Tom left, the neighbors on our right, the family that had been enjoying our pool without asking, came home. My husband invited both of them over to talk. With Mike and Tom present as witnesses, he calmly explained that, for insurance reasons, their family members, and their guests were no longer permitted to enter our fenced backyard under any circumstances. He also informed them that we would be sending them a certified letter formally documenting this decision, as recommended by our insurance company. Importantly, my husband never directly accused them, or their children, of using our pool. He simply explained that we had reason to believe someone had been entering our backyard without permission while we were away. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode. If you have any thoughts about what happened, let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.